The technical role space is a mess. There are so many different technical role titles, but almost no candidate fits them perfectly. In this video, we'll break technical roles into 4 areas: application, systems, data, and security. And we call this the 4 roles model. Using the tech graph, you can choose to dive deeper into each role area, learning more about specialist roles within these groups. And you'll have an opportunity to apply the model to sourcing candidates and finding roles. But let's start by introducing the model. The 4 roles model really derives from the 4 main things that tech organizations have to get done in order to thrive and survive. In short, that's build software for customers to use, keep that software running on machines, store and process their customers' data, and do all of this securely. Each of the 4 role groups is mostly focused on one of those things. Let's start when technical organizations were much simpler and build towards the current picture. Let's use a timeline to represent this evolution. In the 70s, tech was relatively simple. Organizations needed to write software, and organizations needed machines to run the software. Each of these needs was served by a specific role group. Application engineering wrote the user-facing programs, and systems engineering managed and maintained the machines on which those programs ran. And this is a distinction which lives to this day. Applications are the software, and systems generally the hardware. In addition, data needed to be kept secure. In the 70s, only huge organizations could afford their own programs. That's organizations like airlines, banks, and governments. The data collected by these organizations needed people to keep it safe from competitors and rivals, and these people make up the security role group. As we head towards the year 2000, new programming languages and approaches made it much easier for people to make applications, and so the application engineering role divided into front-end and back-end engineers, with full-stack engineers sitting across both. We also saw new programming environments emerge, giving rise to mobile engineers and embedded engineers. Around the same time, the system engineer role group divided into 2 groups. One group wrote software to manage machines, and the other group didn't. The first group, that's the people who wrote software to manage machines, is known as DevOps. And the second group, who use software to manage machines, but don't necessarily write that software, are known as administrators. And that's things like system administrator or sysadmin, network administrator or database administrator, and so on. And by the mid-2000s, billions of people were using the internet. All of the information about them, clicks, purchases, posts and comments, was all stored in databases. Companies began to think seriously about deriving insights about their customers and their processes from this store of data, which led to the data profession. Initially, the data profession was mostly made up of statisticians, that's mathematicians who specialize in statistics. But as the data field grew over the 2010s, the data role specialized into data scientists who combined statistician skills with programming, and data engineers who ensured data was collected and stored in a consistent and reliable way so it could be analyzed by data scientists or other parts of the business. And around this time, we also saw the creation of site reliability engineers, and those are people who track events in a system and respond to incidents in emergencies. So that now gives us our full picture. These are the 4 roles and some of their specialisms. Now, you may have some of these roles in your company, or you may have slightly different words for these roles, or you might have extra roles on top of them, but this is the core. And of course, this is just a model. The real truth is messier and more complex, but we can use the model to understand reality. Here's how. Firstly, we can use the 4 roles model to understand hiring requirements and job descriptions. So this Spotify data engineering role seems to require quite a lot of DevOps background and some application engineering as well, a bit of blue and a bit of yellow. And we can also do this the other way around. The career trajectories of candidates rarely stick within a single role group. So when sourcing a candidate, it's a good idea to use this model for a general feel of a candidate's history, rather than trying to match a list of technologies on a job description. And then we can combine the 2 approaches. For instance, the candidate we saw probably isn't a great fit for the Spotify role, because they don't have any data role experience. There's no red on their profile. And they might lack DevOps experience too, because there's way more blue on the left than on the right. So we can also use the 4 roles model in another way as well, and that's to recruit for modern hybrid roles. Many technical roles require a hybrid of different skills, and many candidates will have experience that sits across multiple roles. We can use the 4 roles model to reason about them. For instance, a role that requires both DevOps engineering, that is, the management of servers using programs, and security analysis, that is, protecting data from being stolen, is also called DevSecOps. Or if you combine the skills of a front-end engineer with some data science, then you could get a data visualization engineer who specializes in visualizing data in graphs. So that's the 4 roles model and some applications of it. And in the next exercise, we'll apply this model to sourcing candidates and finding roles. Thank you for watching.